G'day everyone, welcome back to Frostbite's G.I. Joe Repro. I'm here with very special guest. It's my first time YouTubing with 3-star Drawl. How are you, mate?
I am good. How you doing today? I guess it's our brand new debut, right? It's
It
on
is.
10. Yeah.
I've gotten up with a little bit of a tequila and rum taste in my mouth, and gotten up, made some hash browns and some bacon and sketty, and yeah, I'm good to go.
Yeah. It's a good way to soak up that alcohols
Got
bacon and uh,
got my little
monster.
friend as well.
Yeah, what flavor is that?
Uh, Call it like it's gold, ultra gold.
Hmm.
It tastes
Yeah.
sort of like a bit like a pineapple type
Okay.
flavor. Mm.
Okay. I don't
Mm.
I don't drink many of the monsters. I like if I'm going for straight energy drinks, I like Rockstar. You guys have Rockstar
Yeah,
over
but we
there?
don't. It's not really readily available here.
Okay.
Mm.
I like it, but the monsters I like the coffee ones. I
Yeah,
usually get the
right.
coffee. So if I can do it with coffee, I'm gonna do it with coffee.
I was recently really excited because here in Australia they brought out the original cans of Monster flavor, but they brought
Oh,
it out in a no sugar variant.
well, that's no fun.
Oh, but that's what I want. Like all these, I usually get all the zero sugars,
Yeah. Oh, okay.
but occasionally I'd get that just original fatty one just because it was such a nice taste. And now they've brought it out in no sugar. It's like good to go.
Okay. Well, that's good then. If that's the one
Yeah.
that you like, so that's good. What about just straight Red Bull? Y'all have the Red Bull?
It's about the same price over here. Like a small can of Red Bull is about the same price as a Monster or a Rockstar.
Yeah, it's like that here.
Mm.
That was kind of why I started drinking Rockstar. It tastes
Yep.
almost the same, and you get double the amount. I used to mix Rockstar and Sailor Jerry rum with a splash of Seven Up.
There you go. Jeez.
Yeah, you can talk about something that'll kick you in the pants.
Yeah.
A couple big glasses of that, and you're good to go till you
Hitting
crash.
all the flavors.
Hmm.
So
That's
you're
right.
so here in Australia, it's 10 o'clock in the morning, and over there it's 7, right?
It's 7 where I'm at. I'm in Central Time.
So you're home from work. What are you drinking? Is that just a Coke or something?
This is coffee,
Yeah, right.
iced coffee.
Iced coffee. Hmm.
Yeah, that's almost always what's in this glass. I usually will wait till Saturday most of the time before I start throwing back the good stuff. Just depends on how my week is gone.
Okay. Yeah, there you go.
But I usually bring
Um,
coffee and a bottle of water in here when I do this.
Got to keep lubricated.
That's right. Get good and lubed.
All right. Well, let's have a look at the guys tuning in. So
All right.
we had Johnny Sorensen. He was the first in tonight. Welcome, Johnny.
So
He's a bit of a jokey guy. I don't know have you seen his channel?
I don't think so.
He's a
I don't think
really
so.
interesting dude. Like, check out his channel. He does a lot of Motu, but he does a whole bunch of other stuff. And
Okay.
he opens a lot of toys. He's a very funny dude.
Is that the name of his channel?
Uh, now you've got me.
Type it out.
Yeah,
Type it out in the chat, Johnny.
yeah, drop it in there. I'm definitely sub to him, but I can't think offhand what it
Yeah,
is.
when you've got so many subscriptions and you watch so
Uh,
many people, you just look for you just look for the avatar and
yeah,
new
you
videos.
just know who you're watching.
Yeah.
But yeah, his channel is really good. Just he's a real quirky guy. He's different, so it's good.
Well, we like that
Um,
over here.
but yeah, he asked that question, and I thought this was the appropriate response.
Nice.
Um, Kiwi, g'day, mate. How are you? Thanks for joining in. And it wouldn't be Kiwi without the support. Shane, now that I know it's Shane, g'day, mate.
What's up, Shane?
Morning, Aaron.
What's going
down
on
in Adelaide? You don't get an energy drink called V, do you?
Not that I've seen, and I don't.
It's
recall
usually a
it.
green and silver can.
I don't really drink that many of them, so I don't recall seeing it, but we may.
Okay.
Usually, if I buy one, I just go straight to the cooler and usually grab a Rockstar if they've got it, or whatever Monster Coffee. But there's so many. It seems like a new energy drink comes out every week.
Yeah, it's not a huge market over here, but I've been to the States a couple of times, and like you can go up to a fridge and you're just lost in what you actually want to buy.
Yeah, if you go in a large convenience stores, we've got several different chains here, all through the country, and some are regional. But if you go into a large convenience store, say one that's got 10 or 12 gas pumps and with one of those huge coolers, they'll usually have at least 2 double door fridge sections of nothing but energy drinks. It's crazy.
Yeah. It's just the way forward. It's good for me. Like, I don't drink coffee or tea, so I just have an energy drink a day, and that's it.
Yeah. You usually you only have one? Do you usually do it first thing in the morning?
Yeah, it's just that first drink I have in the morning, and then it's usually water for the rest of the day.
Yeah, that's mostly what I drink is like just water and coffee. That's most of what I drink. And then, if I drink a beer or something, but that's not that often on the daily. Like water and coffee, might throw in a Gatorade, here and there if I think I need it. But Now, some people don't like water. I love water.
Your area is really hot though, right?
Regionally, yes, but I mean, I'm in the South, so we have really hot, humid weather where I'm at. Like, it's really sticky here. Now, you go further out west, going out toward the desert, toward New Mexico, Arizona, it's way hotter than it is here, but there's no humidity.
I went to Vegas. We went to Vegas for our honeymoon, and I remember buying an ice cream on the strip there, and I've literally bought, like, the guy's made it. He's given it to me, and then we've started walking, and it's just like collapsing all over my hand.
Yeah, that's the worst. that's
I think when we worked it out, it was the equivalent of 42 or 43 Australian degrees, where, like, at that point of time. So it was hot.
Yeah, and I wish I knew my conversions better, but that's probably, if it was Vegas, that was probably about 112 or something. So
I think they said it was like 120 or something.
Oh, that's really hot. Like, it's usually, I think last year was the hottest year on record out there. I just remember it being in the news. Like, I've never been to Vegas, so somehow, but I've never been. But I remember seeing it in the news, like, to break records out there, it's got to be pretty astoundingly hot.
Well, this is saying, so I've put in 110 Fahrenheit, and it's saying it's 43 degrees for us in Celsius.
Yeah, that's about what I was thinking. So Shane's in Daytona Beach, so he's down. He's on the Atlantic coast, way down in about halfway down Florida, roughly.
Yeah, he's saying it's filthy there.
Yeah, it gets. I've been there. I've been to where he lives several times, and it gets miserable down there. But there's usually a good breeze coming in off the ocean. most of the
That's
time.
another interesting thing when I watch, videos like yours and Shane's and like some of your other guys. It's interesting to see your weather, like you guys coping with, like Shane's the classic example. Sitting in his garage and you can see he's hot.
Yeah, just
Yeah,
miserable, sweating, sitting there.
yeah. It
Yeah,
doesn't fill me with desire to be doing that.
yeah, and see, like for us, like in my mind, all of Australia is just hot. Like it just
No, no.
that's what we were that's what we're led to believe is it is just always hot and steamy, and it's just because I've never been. I'd like to go someday, but that's kind of like we don't have much in the way of Australian influences over here.
Yeah.
Really, we've got Paul Hogan and then some of the
Oh,
other
yeah.
actors. That's what we got.
If
So
you guys are looking to Paul Hogan and Foster's, like that's the 1980s.
I
You
knew
guys need to stop
Foster's.
that.
I knew Foster's was going to come up. Well, one of you guys needs to come over here and get us some new modern Australia stuff over here. So everybody that comes over here that's an actor, we don't know. Like they're coming over
Yeah.
here to act, so we don't know.
Well, Hemsworth would be probably our most famous actor, or Kate Blanchett.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, that's true.
Hmm.
Um, but our weather here, I mean, it varies all through the country. It's a big country, but where I'm at, like it's getting hotter. That's not a knife. No, you
So
can tell it's hotter
I've
than it
got the
used to be.
conversion up. So right here in Canberra, it was in Fahrenheit, it was 55 yesterday. And then today, that's why I'm wearing a singlet, it's gone to 68. It's perfect.
Yeah, that's nice weather.
Yeah.
Well, it's is it winter or is it fall?
We're just sort of coming out of winter, but Canberra's a bit of a weird place with its weather because it sits in a gully.
Yeah.
And then on the outside of, or one side of the gully, it's a like ski slopes.
Okay.
Hmm. So we get all that cold weather coming in off the snow and then down into a gully.
Yeah.
So it's winter for like, 7 months of the year here.
Wow.
Yeah.
So most of our winters where I'm at are winter in like name only. Like
Right.
we had a cold winter last year, and we actually got a pretty good snow last year. But we did have some really cold weather last year, and the year before we had like 3 days that it never got above 5, and
Right.
that's unusually cold for where I'm at.
Yeah.
Somewhere up in the north, middle of the country, up on the plains, and up in like Montana or whatever, that's nothing. But here in Tennessee, like that's well digger's ass cold here.
So I just looked that up. 5 degrees Fahrenheit is minus 15 Celsius. That
Mm-hmm.
is ridiculous.
It's cold. It's approaching go outside and actually can get frostbite very easy out there cold. So,
Damn
uh,
you, frostbite.
yeah, damn it, frostbite. I went out and I did some pictures during that when it was cold this year, and
Hmm.
it got down into it was about 20 for a few days here,
Right.
and I went out and I did pictures, and of course I'm trying to pre-pose everything before I go out and whatever to do as little as possible
Hmm.
because I'm going to have to take my gloves off when I get
Yeah.
there. And I'm out there and I get everything set up and I've got my camera and I'm trying to hold my camera still. And, I'm having to move guys around in the snow because there was like 5 or 6 inches of snow, which is a lot for where I'm at.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, like that's all I can do. I had some more in mind, but like I can't do anymore. I gotta, took everything out in the tote. I'm like, I gotta go back in. I gotta have
Wow.
these these gloves, and you can't operate the camera with the gloves on. So,
Yeah, that's
but it
bad.
doesn't get like that often here. It's not every year. We'll go here. We'll go. It's nothing for us to go a winter and have like just a dusting of snow once or twice, and that's all we see.
There you go. I'll get back to some of these comments quickly. So Kiwi saying it's lunchtime in NZ right now. Campbell saying hi. We've got Australian Eric Harper. So have you been following this Eric Harper deal?
I do not know the entire backstory. I do know that there's that one and there's an American one.
Yeah.
And I know you guys always kind of joke back and forth about which is which, and this one's here and this one's not. I know one time both of you guys were in one of the chats not too long ago together.
Yep.
So, but I don't know the whole backstory.
It was super confusing. So we would have Eric Harper from Podcasts from the Pit coming into our chat occasionally, and then Australian Eric Harper popped in on a different show, and we're like, why is the little avatar thing different? And we couldn't work it out because who the hell would know that there's two Eric Harpers tuning into a show?
Yeah, the same show at the same time.
Yeah,
a show for us in another country in a whole nother crazy time slot or time zone. So yeah, that's pretty. I bet that was confusing as hell.
It was definitely confusing, and I think it took us about 4 shows to actually work out what the hell was going on here. And we asked the Aussie guy one show, like, are you American, bro? And he's come back. He's no, I'm Aussie. I'm like, we solved this.
Like Scooby Doo.
Yeah,
pulled the mask off. I believe the American Eric Harper. I didn't meet him. I think he was at Joe Fest, right?
Yeah, I think he was.
Because I remember somebody that I was hanging out with, like, knew him or something, and they were like, "Oh, we got to go talk to the podcast from the Pit guy. We got to go see Eric Harper." And I was like, and even then, I remembered you guys talking about that in chat, and I'm like, "Oh, I guess that's the American one."
Trust the Australians to make something funny out of confusion.
Yeah.
Shane's saying he is just smashing monsters.
Water and diet Dr. Pepper.
So the reason I only have one of these a day is because it says on the back here, only have one a day. So I just follow that advice.
All right. Well, in moderation, that's all right.
That's it.
Yeah. Well, I think the definition of binge drinking is like more than 3 at a time or something.
Yeah.
So you're good.
Yeah, everyone's good. Campbell's a bit cold, which that's a New Zealand thing. Shane's asking about Heath Ledger. Yeah, man, he was super big here. We all loved him. I'll just speak for the entirety of Australia there. We all loved Heath Ledger, and it was like really disappointing and sad when that he passed away. So yeah,
it was. He had a really big following over here. He'd done some movies that weren't super well received, but it did not hurt his reputation here at all. Like, I like The Knight's Tale.
Oh yeah, that was fun.
I like that movie. Was he big? Was he really big over there before he come over here, or did he come here and then get big and then you guys were like, "Hell yeah, it's one of ours"?
He was an up and comer, and he was really he'd hit it. In my belief, he hit it as big here prior to being in playing the Joker.
Okay, because he had been in. By the time he did that, he'd been in they've been in a bunch of stuff over here,
Yeah.
by then. So I didn't know if he grew up there as like a child actor doing commercials or something.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
No. But if you want a recommendation, like my favorite Heath Ledger movie, and it's one of my favorite movies of all time, is a movie called Two Hands.
Hands. I guess I've
Two
seen
Hands.
that one. Yeah.
And it's got him and a few different big name actors in it. And it's super good and an excellent sort of 90s Australian grungy soundtrack. Set in Sydney, and it's perfect for me. Love it.
Okay, I'll have to look that up. I'll see if it's streaming somewhere.
It's got a bit of like he gets involved with a local, drug dealer type guy, and he goes and does a job for him, and he mucks the job up, and like bad things ensue. So,
okay, yeah,
I
have to look that up because that sounds like something he would be good in, good role.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
And he had his, long locks of hair, and he's the real young fella, and he's like into boxing and stuff, and he's super fit, and he's just loving life. And it was just a really good time capture of just when he was having fun acting.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. I have to look that up. I don't think I've heard of that one.
It's one of those typical movies that I think Americans wouldn't even know about or watch because it's just such an Australian movie.
Yeah. Well, we have a fascination with it here, like with all Australian stuff. Like like I said, we never really got much of it. It's like we had, like you said, we had Foster's and Paul Hogan.
Yeah.
As far as representation. So I like to watch different, stuff like that, like different cultural movies set in a different, landscape, different country stuff, So I probably will get it, so I'll have to check it out.
Like there's a lot of stuff that, a lot of Aussies don't like leaving Australia because it's a bad representation of us.
Yeah.
But ones like that, Two Hands, like that's, as an Australian, I'm absolutely proud of that.
Yeah, proud of that one. Put this one up, put this other stuff down here.
Oh, yeah. All right. So, Aussie Harper, my brother from another mother. Interesting fact. I'm from Newcastle, Oz, but my father was African American. There you go, bro. So Newcastle's about 5 hours from Canberra, where I am.
Okay.
Been there a few times. It's a nice town. Even the Kiwis liked Heath Ledger. I don't know, Campbell, if he did Home and Away. It's so, Darren, just so you know, like we have two shows here. There's Neighbours and Home and Away, and they're very much like sort of teen drama type, like not Young and the Restless. That's too far down the drama train. Yeah. But you pull it right back and it's set on a beach or in a local neighborhood. And it's where a lot of Australian actors start their careers.
Okay.
Even Kylie Minogue, she started out on Neighbours.
How long have those been running? A while.
Like since as long as G.I. Joe, I think, like 84 or something, 82. Okay.
I wonder if that stuff is on like Netflix for us.
Interestingly, Neighbours went bust. Our Channel 10 went, like they couldn't support it anymore, and it was off for ages. And then Prime come in and helped bring it back, like Amazon Prime. So
did that wind up being beneficial for it? Did it keep it going in good quality or good standard?
Yeah, it's the same quality.
Okay.
I found it interesting because they didn't put their grips on it. Like they they just said to Channel 10, we'll assist you in funding this, but you can
Yeah.
still make it and do all your stuff. And I thought that's pretty full on. I thought Amazon would have taken it and put it on their Prime channel.
Yeah, that's what it seems like it, and that's why I was asking, because most of the time when Amazon gets behind something, it goes, so
Yeah. No, it's because it's got such a following, and it's massive in Britain. Like they love it.
But it is a purely, I mean, it is an Australian.
Yeah,
Everything's
pure Australian
Okay.
drama. Mm.
Okay.
Big Frank, how are you, mate?
So Frank.
All right. Well, let's take a look at the. We've just had the biggest opening chat in the history of YouTubing. Let's take a look at what we're actually here for, which is what if G.I. Joe was hunting Predator? So between myself and 3-Star, we've kept the original characters of Predator as a base, and we're looking at sort of what characters from G.I. Joe, and only G.I. Joe, no Cobra, would actually fill that team and slot right in there. What was your thoughts when I mentioned this to you?
This is something that most of us have probably thought about for the last 40 years. Predator is Punk. They did Predator on Punks with Film on Lawrence's channel, and it's largely regarded as like the G.I. Joe movie we never got, like, because the best G.I. Joe movie we have is Predator. So I thought it was an awesome topic, because it's something that those two worlds put together is something a lot of Joe fans I think would like to see. I don't know how many times I've seen the movie Predator. Like I watched that movie almost on repeat when I was a kid. We had a tape, like a VHS tape where you could dub movies, had a dubbed copy of Predator. And I wore that thing out. It had Predator, Platoon, and RoboCop on the same tape.
Yeah. Is it your favorite of the series?
Yes.
The OG?
Yeah. I do like Predator 2.
Yeah.
I see a lot of people just bash it and really, can't stand it. It's not Predator 1 by any stretch, but I do like it. Yes. It's my favorite.
So I had a really nice day 2 days ago. I sat down with my teenage daughter and we watched Prey.
I've still not seen Prey.
So Prey to me that's my favorite of the series.
I have heard people that have said that if it's not their favorite, it is a close number 2. Like, is almost as good as the original. So
it's
I need to watch it.
When you think about all that's happening with Disney and Marvel and Star Wars, all the complaints coming out of just people's mouths, I find it amazing that this Prey movie was released, I think, 2 years ago. And it's just a movie that I really appreciate. I think they got the correct actors. They've done the source material correctly. And they've actually really added to the story.
That's pretty much echoes what I've heard, people that really like it say about it. It's really, really well done. There's actual tension, and I have, the thing is, like, I forget about it because now I have Disney and Hulu, and actually now there's a bundle where somehow they're tied into HBO with Max. And what I was paying for Disney and Hulu, I found out there was another promotion where I could get HBO for like another $4 a month. So, and I did that so I could watch House of the Dragons. But I keep forgetting that Prey is a Hulu movie.
Right.
and I can watch it now, and I don't. It never comes up like when I'm
Mm.
looking, but I know it's there, and I just don't ever think about it. I keep meaning to go watch it, but
Well,
I want to see it.
hopefully this video will be a gentle reminder of you missing a great movie.
Maybe I can get it in this weekend, and they're doing another
Mm.
one. They're doing another one that's a follow up to Prey.
Well, yeah, at the so you've got the Prey movie, and then in the credits, they do an artistic representation, like it was drawn by Native American Indians, of what just happened in Prey. And then, spoiler alert, because you already know the outcome, they go through the whole movie drawn, and then right at the end of that, you see more ships come down.
Yeah.
So yeah, really well
Yeah,
done.
it's because it seems like the next one is supposed to be set during. Is it like the Revolutionary War or something? It
Yeah,
seems
I'd
like
be thinking Civil War or something would be perfect timing.
yeah, it seems like or maybe it's one of the World Wars. Was the
Okay.
premise for it? It whatever I don't remember. It's been a while since I heard about it, but I mean it's greenlit. It's probably in production. Matthew Matson would know if he were here.
Mm.
But it whatever it was, the premise for it sounded really intriguing. A whole lot better than a bunch of mercenaries.
Yeah. I just find it hilarious. Like, just all the shit fights we're getting with movies. Like, one of my best mates was over last night, and he's a massive Aliens fan. And I said, "You really invested in Aliens, right?" And he's just pulled his shirt down a little bit, and he's got an alien tattoo there. And he just proceeded for 20 minutes to tell me everything that was wrong with Romulus. And I'm like, "Oh, you got to let go, bro."
I want to see Romulus, but it's not anything I'm going to go see in the theater.
Hmm.
And it's funny you say that because I have right here. It's not an alien, an alien tattoo, but it is a tattoo of something else from H.R. Giger's work.
Okay.
It's from one of the same books that heavily
Yeah, right.
features the xenomorph design.
Interesting. But yeah, just sitting down with my daughter and not having my phone on, like not looking at YouTube. Just I shut the door to the room so it was all
Yeah.
sealed, and it was just nice to just shut off and watch a movie, like show a movie you really like to your daughter. So
Yeah, I think that would be an awesome that'd be an awesome experience. Like I don't have any kids that I
mm,
know of, so I think that would be a cool experience. But
yeah,
even just like what you said about sitting down and turning the phone off and
yeah,
shutting the door and shutting out everything else and just being able to enjoy a movie, because I hate
mm,
sitting there trying to watch something and then inadvertently I find myself staring at my phone and I got to go back
yeah,
and rewind
yeah.
it. I hate it. I hate we're so glued
Mm.
to these things, but it's good that you can do it.
It felt really good.
This room,
Uh,
when I started this room, when I got back into collecting, there was a
yeah.
recliner in here. There was no computer.
Well,
There was a recliner in here, and I come in here and put my feet up and read GI Joe comics and
wow.
looked at my GI Joes. And then I started a YouTube channel, and the recliner's in the living room.
Yeah. And then look at behind you now.
Yeah, it's like tripled from when I did that. I
Yeah.
brought in 2 more shelves.
Frank's saying your kids are on your shelf behind you.
Yeah, they really are. I could have put somebody through college by now, I think.
All right. So what we're going to do with this is we're just going to go through each character of the predator hunting team, as we'll call it, the mercenaries, and I'm going to show you who I thought was a good match for each person. Then 3 Stars also going to give his ideas on who he thinks was good. But let us know in the comments if you think we're missing something, or we didn't get it right, or if you agree, because I put a lot of work into this, and 3-Star put a lot of work into his, and it's good to know if we're getting this right. We both tried, to do a bit of research and not sort of be lazy with our choices. So, yeah, let us know.
It was harder.
Up,
it was harder. It was harder than I thought it was going to be from some of them. So.
I'm off to an open home tomorrow. Hopefully, wife is on board with this one. All right, first up, we've got Dutch. So, 3-Star, when I looked at this, I looked at Dutch as he's a strong man. He's a leader. He's not in charge. Like, that was made perfectly clear during the movie. Al Dillon was in charge. But he doesn't need anyone in charge of him. He just needs to know what the mission is, and he's got the flexibility to then go off and, change mission and complete mission. And that, to me, was Sergeant Slaughter. So I'll just go quickly through. I've got file cards and some information from mine and 3-Star's favorite new website, which was Xenomorph?
It's on the fandom wiki. It's Xenopedia.
Xenopedia, that's it. Okay, so for Sergeant Slaughter, and I love doing these lists, mate, because I've forgotten a lot of the file cards for these characters, so I get to read them a lot more and just learn a little bit. All the Joes are super tough, and they've been through the roughest, most grueling training to become a most skillful specialist in the world. It takes a master of drill training to wield stiff-necked, tender-footed Americans into the most stout and honorable positions in the mobile strike force. That master and heavy-duty headman is none other than Sergeant Slaughter, the extremist in rough and tumble fun. Sergeant Slaughter thinks it's his personal mission to kick the butt of every boot in Pendleton. This guy can drill his trainees into the ground for 72 hours straight before he breaks a sweat. His favorite pastime is marching over the boys' backs while they do finger push-ups in the mud and spewing out brutal verbalities. He's been known to ride his tank through enemy fortresses rather than blow them up just because it's more fun. They say he eats nails and spits out dum-dum bullets. They say he cleans his teeth with barbed wire, brushes his hair with a rat tail file, and shaves with a blowtorch. Everything and everywhere is a battlefield to Sergeant Slaughter.
Isn't that just great? Like, you can't write shit like that anymore.
I think that'll be the most amazing thing that I read this week.
It will, man. And it's like that, and that's him, like the cartoon version, like that. That's what you get. He was a little more less superhero like or a little less superhero like in the comic, but he's still hyped up pretty good. I love Sergeant Slaughter.
Still imposing. Man.
Yes.
Yes. So Eric Harper is saying, great choice. We used to use Falcon and Night Viper as our predator for night missions. So there's a video already on YouTube, and someone's done an amazing job of, getting the film footage and then telling you which Joe it is. I quite like it. But I disagreed. I think they had Duke as Dutch, and I was like, Duke's not really Dutch.
He could fit the leader role,
yes.
But Duke does not have any charisma.
No.
Duke's got no personality. He was just Duke is a cut and paste, clean cut poster boy for whatever. Just like when you think about brass, and Duke was a field commander, and supposedly he refused getting promoted and all that. That's great. That's all he's got. Like Duke was boring.
Yeah. And I do want to mention as well, I actually, for this slide, I actually had Sergeant Slaughter and then a slash, and I had Repeater in here. because if you repeat his file card, and I will when we go through, because I've put him further in the list. But he's a guy. It says in his file card that he's not been promoted past, I think it was E6, because his leadership performance isn't great. But when he goes into the field, everyone follows him.
Yeah, he's just get it done. You know, you see the theme that's been going around of a boss, and he's in the chair with people carrying him, and then you see a leader, and he's with the people pushing the chair. That's kind of what I get out of that.
Like during my time in the military, the military is just this amazing place to learn about leadership, but it's not from people that are good at leadership. Usually you're learning stuff from the people that are shit at leadership, and you just learn not to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good way to put that.
G'day, Joe Fan. How are you, mate? Thanks for joining in.
What's up, Joe Fan?
I assume this has got to be a nicer time for the American audience, plus Australians.
Yeah, I mean, I guess for you guys, it depends on what you've got planned up for Saturday. I'm sure they have. I'm sure they've got like kids little league, rugby, and football. Your football.
Well, there's actually a Comic-Con here in Canberra today, this weekend. So,
are you going?
Yeah, I'm going to. I'll get this done, and then I need to go and look at a car for my daughter, and then I'm going to try and take some video and put it up on my channel of the Comic-Con.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, there's one here that's close to me next month. I think it's the next. I don't know. I think it's early next month, but and it's a small one. I went to it last year, but I think I'm going to go and do some footage for it too. So I don't. It's not very big, and there's next to no. I mean, there's some toys there, but it really is mostly comics at this.
Bro, your small convention would be probably 14 times bigger than our big convention.
When I went to Joe Fest, like that was overwhelming. I've never been to one that big. Joe Fest is large, and then I hear people say that it is not like it's small compared to some of the other ones. And I don't mean like SDCC, just some of the other bigger ones. But it was overwhelming being in that building. So yeah, well, good. I hope you go and get some good deals on stuff.
Yeah, Frank. Thanks very much, mate. And replay team is always welcome. First American football. That must be a proud moment for you, mate.
Yeah. So.
All right. Next, we had Al Dillon. So that beautiful website, it stated Al Dillon was a CIA agent operating in South America, combating the communist rebel movement in Guatemala, subsequently attached to Dutch's team. He's a close friend of Dutch's, although the deception of the Guatemala mission brought the two into conflict. He was killed when he decided to face the predator, partly out of a desire for revenge and partly to buy the other survivors time to escape. So when I looked at this character, all I saw was like a bit of a great guy, bit of a personality guy. You can tell if he's great mates with Dutch, he's got to done some nasty shit in the past. Funny guy and an intel guy, a CIA guy. And that to me just had chuckles written all over it.
Yeah, and they were like, if you read some of his stuff on there, like their paths diverged. Like they were good friends, and like you said, they've been through a lot of shit, and then somewhere their paths kind of went this way, and he went political CIA, and then Dutch just kept going. wound up turning into they're basically a mercenary team that
Yeah.
specialize in hostage rescue. So
Mm.
they kind of had somewhere you can just picture that they had a little bit of a difference, or maybe their tours ended and took different jobs. But yeah.
Mm.
And Carl Weathers
people
is
going
awesome.
their separate ways, mate. That's just life.
Yeah.
Chuckles' file card mentions that he's been undercover for so long that nobody's really sure who he actually works for. He got his start in a hole and corner operations at Southeastern Insurance Group in Fort Lauderdale, where he still feels he owes his main allegiance. He's a man's man. Every Sid boy's favorite companion. I don't know what that is. Not just because of his jocularity or his perseverance in the field, but because he is so conscientious about keeping up his cover that he'll volunteer for missions that nobody else wants to go on. His natural likability is his greatest asset. He can sit around all day with a bunch of cobras, grinning, cracking jokes, and punching shoulders, all the while wearing a miniature transmitter that's been honed in by the Joe team. Chuckles is aware of the consequences of being found out. He's also confident of his ability to fight his way out of any situation.
Sounds about right. Oh man, I love Chuckles. I've always have, and Larry Hama doing those, writing the file cards, and it's just perfect. Like it's and if you read, have you read any of the IDW books?
No, I haven't.
Okay, I recommend reading the Cobra story that's in those books if you can find it. I've got the hardback back here. The hardback's out of print. It's kind of hard to find. I just got lucky, but you can find the compendiums and stuff. But anyway, there's a story in it called The Last Laugh, and it's the Chuckles story, and then the Cobra stories, like biography stories, are interwoven with it. But everything that's on his file card is what is in that story, like how deep in the cover he goes, dedication to the mission, hanging out with the Cobras, and it's probably one of the best G.I. Joe stories that's ever been done. And it follows the file card, the description of him to a T. It's perfect.
He's a great character. He's probably one of these vintage figures that he come with more personality than he did accessories.
Yeah, the ridiculous oversized automatic and the weird looking shoulder holster. And one of my favorite recent memories is last summer I got to ask Ron Rudat what he had in mind when he designed him, and they just said, "Oh, he's Magnum PI." Yeah.
Eric says thumbs up on Chuckles, especially after reading the amazing Cobra series by Mike Costa a few years back.
That's the one. That's the one I'm talking about. Yeah.
And Joe Fan's got Chuckles riding the Manta, which is just, that's spot on as well.
If we could only figure out a way to get him in some shorts.
Yeah.
It'd be perfect. I never had the Manta.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I never had one.
Oh, I love the Manta.
I liked it. My cousin, not pot blender, but my older cousins on my dad's side, who were really the first ones that got me into into the figures. They had it. One of them had it, and I used to like to play around with it when I went over there because I was like 5. I'd never seen a parasail skiff windsurf boat thing before. I was like, this is awesome.
It is. Joe Fan saying, I just wish it floats. Yeah, it's all right.
I think the whale,
cool little thing.
I think the whale was the only thing that actually floated, wasn't it?
That makes sense. I'm thinking about the Moray right now, and it's got creased holes in the bottom, so that shouldn't float.
It did not. Trust me.
Devilfish should float, shouldn't it?
I think the devilfish did,
Hmm.
but it would get waterlogged pretty easy. But I think it did float.
Right. All right. Well, next up, we've got Mac Elliott, and I ummed and ahed about this. I think with a few characters, but Repeater just was the character I thought was perfect for it. Firstly, because of his weapons. So Mac's obviously, a fan of heavy weapons. He's not the minigun operator, but he's. I think I noted that down. But yeah, he is seen with a few heavy weapons during the film. His background, I've got Mac had served along his close friend Blaine Cooper for many years before they both joined Dutch's team, and the two had developed a close relationship. When Blaine was killed by the Predator, he saw it and tried to kill him in an obsessive way together with Dutch's team, who joined him later. He failed, though. He managed to wound it. He tried to kill him again at night when he thought it was the Predator, but it turned out to be a boar instead. When they faced the Predator again at daylight after setting a trap for him, he went after him out of desire for revenge because of Blaine's death. Dylan followed him for his own reasons. They both tried to kill the Predator together, and they were both killed by it. He was the first one to die. He was killed by the Predator's energy weapon. With Repeater, his card says, with close to 20 years in the Army, Repeater never got any higher in rank than E6. His performance in the field was always top-notch, but he could never back it up in the garrison. He's not a barracks soldier and never could be, but send him out in the bush beyond the furthest base camp, and you'll find out that he's the one the other grunts want to soldier with, because he's the one who's going to bring the grunts back in one piece. Being the machine gunner is probably the toughest job in any infantry squad. Number one, he's got the heaviest load to carry. Number two, as soon as he starts firing, the enemy knows where he is and becomes their primary target. Number three, the squad depends on him to keep firing through all this, provide maneuvering cover. Your machine gunner should always be the strongest, most stand-up troop you have.
Yep, sounds about right. And you can also, if we ever do another one of these where we do aliens, you can also use Repeater in aliens too.
Oh yeah,
with the Steadicam.
It's the figure that just keeps on giving.
And when I was a kid, I didn't really care that much for this figure, and I don't know why. Because now, knowing exactly what he is, what the setup was, I didn't understand the setup, even though I'd seen aliens.
Yep.
And it really wasn't all that great on the figure. I already had Rock and Roll, and I had Roadblock, and I just didn't really see the need for Repeater. But as I've gotten older, that's one character that I really have come to like. I really do think it's a neat character. That is actually, I know you don't really do classified, but I can't wait for him to get to Repeater and classified.
Oh, right. Have you seen his card art?
A Repeater? Yeah. I think I still have the card back.
The face?
Yeah, Butterface.
I don't know what happened there. It's like, it's classified Falcon, but worse.
Yeah, it is. I'm gonna pull it up again and look at it because I looked at it last night. Let's see, 88 Repeater. I got to look at it again.
Like even the figure's face isn't too bad, but when you look at that card art, oh my god!
So looking at it now, do you have it pulled up? So if you look at it now, and given what we're talking about, I kind of see Jesse Ventura.
Yeah, right.
He's got the dimple chin, and he's got the kind of rounded, kind of sloped face, the angular rounded and drops down into the dimple chin. And since we're talking about this, I looked at it last night and I'm like, damn, that's ugly. But Now that we're actually talking about it, man, he actually does look like a little like Jesse Ventura in the movie.
Eric saying Repeater looks like Gomer Piles.
I can see that too. Gomer Pyle with the dimple chin. But he had a fantastic singing voice.
And I think you said you didn't pick Repeater for this. Who did you pick for this?
Are we going to do mine? I thought we were going to do
all
yours.
Well, we can wait till the end.
I mean, I can tell you now if you want. I mean, I told you this was the one I had the hardest time picking.
Okay, what did you have?
I picked Stalker.
Yeah, right.
Because I was trying, when I did my list, first I looked at the traits and the mannerisms of the Predator team, the characters, and I tried to match them to Joe's, and I was trying to find somebody that could be loyal, like to a fault, to one of their friends, and not kind of stoic, because Mac was real stoic throughout the movie. Stalker's pretty stoic, don't crack a lot of jokes. And the main thing I was looking for was somebody that was right on that line that I thought could absolutely snap if, like, their best friend in life suddenly was killed. And thinking about like Stalker and Snake Eyes, you know, from Vietnam. That was why I went with Stalker. I was trying to find somebody kind of serious and stoic and right on that line of just seeing a little bit too much shit one day.
Yeah. Bit of a mental snap. Okay. Eric saying Stalker is a great pick. And Campbell saying, yeah, I see that now. I think he was talking about Gomer Pyle.
Or Ventura. I mean, it kind of looks like
Ventura.
Gomer Pyle and Jesse Ventura had a love child.
All right. Next, we had Staff Sergeant Jorge Poncho Ramirez. Did I pronounce all that correctly?
I think so. I think I'm pretty sure it's Jorge and not Georgie.
Yeah. I'm sure if I didn't pronounce it properly, someone would just be like, it's okay, he's Australian.
Yeah, right. And I'm Southern, so
yeah.
You know, I actually do know a Jorge Ramirez.
Yeah, right. So website says Poncho was born and raised in Houston, Texas. In 1980, he joined a private military team set up by Dutch. He became close friends with Billy. He saw action in Angola, Cambodia, Lebanon, and Afghanistan, and recently ended a terror siege at the Sudanese embassy in Berlin and Germany. He remembers the Afghanistan mission in particular as an incredibly grueling experience. Following a disastrous attempt to capture and kill the predator using improvised traps constructed from the materials of the jungle, Poncho was severely wounded when the escaping predator unintentionally blasted a nearby tree with its plasma caster, dislodging a huge branch that then swung down and struck Poncho in the chest, hitting him with enough force to physically fling him off his feet. And yeah, we all know the rest of the movie, what happened with him. But it says also that he harbored religious beliefs not shared by the other team members. Personality-wise, he was a sarcastic, wisecracking Chicano who spoke fluent Spanish as well as English. He lacked the imposing physiques of many of the other members of the team, but nonetheless was a courageous soldier, bolstered by grim determination and steadfast composure. But once the team began falling prey to the predator, he became notably spooked, particularly when the typically dauntless Billy expressed his fear of what they faced. Ultimately, he was able to maintain his cool and do his job. So we just typically saw him with a normal weapons layout. So he had some claymores, he had a Desert Eagle. But then he had this bag boy, and that's why I've sort of matched him up with Hardball.
Yeah.
That seemed to be his. You can sort of think that's just a normal weapon, but he had this in the movie, and I couldn't sort of find any GI Joes that were wisecracking GI Joes. Are you aware of any?
Yeah, there were several, but I tried that I've come across that I thought of, but I didn't. I was trying to match them up more by weapon type,
Mm,
and yeah, there's a lot of guys that were kind of jokesters. I mean, even Snow Job was he was a jokester and a prankster, but so for Poncho, uh, I actually picked Zap
yeah, right.
because Zap he's a bazooka soldier.
Mm,
I thought about hardball just because of the multi grenade launcher, but I'm like, I'm gonna go with Zap because he's an explosive guy. He's kind of like, let's be honest, he's kind of expendable,
yeah.
um, and also Zap is also Hispanic. Not that
Mm,
that played that much into why I picked him.
yeah.
I kind of wanted to go with somebody that was more of an explosive expert, and Zap
Mm,
was also demolitions, and he carried like claymores, which I know are anti-personnel, but
mm,
apples and oranges, or
yeah.
tomato. Um, so I went with Zap for him because Zap was also what little bit we saw of him. He had a little bit of a sense of humor too.
Okay. Interesting.
But the obvious, the best pick as far as matching them up for the weapons, I mean, it's definitely got to be hardball. I almost went with
Yeah.
hardball.
This was probably my laziest pick of the bunch because, I tried to research anyone that was real wisecracking to try and get that attitude as a first thing, but I just couldn't come up with anyone. So, that I tried not to be lazy, but this I just had to relate it to the weapon.
Um, the one like the one that comes to mind is airtight.
Okay.
Airtight. If you pull his file card, airtight was a practical joker.
Yeah,
He was a
right.
big like to play jokes on people,
Okay.
and of course he didn't even come with any kind of weapon. He come with the damn vacuum cleaner. So
Yeah. You probably got to have a sense of humor when your weapon is a vacuum cleaner.
yeah, right.
Mm,
You would think so. Well, in his file card they send him into like the nastiest, funkiest, most toxic situations. So, yeah, you gotta you gotta learn to crack a couple jokes, I
yeah.
guess, when you do that.
Eric Harper has actually raised who my first pick was for this, um, which was Recoil. But
I
yeah,
look I
that
look
was the same, mate.
recoil.
Like when I read his file, like the weapons kind of matched weapons capabilities, but when I read the file card, it seemed like Recoil was a pretty serious dude.
Yeah, I've got to go back and read over. I got to go back and read over his file card because I was trying to match him up more by weapons, and I wound up
Mm.
not matching him up with anybody.
Well, that's the magic of doing this video, mate. You gotta like it is difficult.
Yeah, it is. I
Mm.
mean, you think about it, and you're like, oh, this guy will go with this guy, and this guy's this guy. But if you don't want to go with the low hanging fruit, and
Yeah, yeah.
like what we did, we actually wanted to actually compare the personalities and stuff.
Mm.
Yeah, Recoil is a good he's a good choice. But yeah, the personality doesn't really. He's more like he reads more like personality wise like low light. Like he's just kind of
Mm.
leave me alone, let me do my job.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, before we go on to Blaine Cooper, I just want to mention to everyone, if you're not currently subscribed to Down South 7, aka 3-Star Draws channel, can you just take 10 seconds, go find it on YouTube and hit that sub button? What have they got to search to find you again, mate?
It is 3, the number 3, star draw, DRAWL. A lot of people don't even hear it when I pronounce that L. So they're like, I'll just find a bunch of channels of people drawing stars and shit.
Isn't the irony amazing that people can't hear you pronounce drawl properly because of your drawl?
Yeah, it's ironic, isn't it? So
yeah.
I get more crap from Lawrence for Punk with Toys than I think anybody. He hates that name. When I went with that for the channel, he hates it. He never lets me forget it either.
All right. So now that you've all subbed, and if you're replaying this video, just hit that pause button and go and find 3-Star Draws channel and hit that sub button, please. Get this old mate up to 500.
I got a little ways to go. I got a ways to go. I need Hasbro to screw up 1 or 2 more good times is what I need. And if I can catch Hasbro with their pants down once or twice, I might be able to get to it. Appreciate it.
Okay. So next, we're going to hit Blaine. Now, even before I did any research on any of these, I was like, I don't care what I pick, even for Dutch, but that guy has to be rock and roll. And then when I went into that Predator website, researching the team, Blaine, they mention the weapons are correct, but he's actually a bit of a gruff type of dude. And that to me went distinctly against rock and roll's surfy culture. Did you find that?
I did, and that's why I did not pick rock and roll. That's the only reason I didn't pick rock and roll.
Okay. Who did you pick?
I picked Gung Ho.
Okay.
For this, because Gung Ho is a little bit crazy. He's a smart ass. He's big. He's brawny. Loyal to his teammates. He likes to crack jokes, and if need be, he's going to be able to pick up a heavy weapon like Blaine's. When I was a kid, when I played with my Joes, or me and Pop Blender played together with our Joes, Gung Ho and Roadblock were inseparable.
Yep.
And I kind of looked at this, duo like that. I thought Gung Ho would be perfect, even though he's not, he doesn't have the heavy weapons. He could easily fit the personality. He's kind of gruff and grumpy, and he's always threatening, how'd you like me to express your face, kind of stuff. So I picked Gung Ho for Blaine.
Campbell's actually just suggested who I thought about as well, but I ultimately didn't pick, and that was Leatherneck.
I considered Leatherneck as well.
Yeah.
When I read his file card, it's just like he's just too serious.
Yes. Yeah.
That's probably the only reason that I went against Leatherneck as the pick for this is once I read through his file card, he is more no nonsense than Sergeant Slaughter is.
Yeah. I think in the end, I went with rock and roll because it didn't match the surfy culture, but this V2 rock and roll, this is how I see him. I think the V1 was more of a surfy guy, and the classified one is more surfy. But this V2, He looks like he's just there to wreck shit.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely he looks the part for sure, and
Mm.
I think you're right. The the V1 rock and roll in Real American Hero, um, sure he comes with an M60, but he looks as all those guys did. He looks like a straight up like a soldier. Of course, he's got the yellow bright yellow beard that set him
Yeah.
apart. But when you get to this one, when you get to the V2, like he's brought up to date a little bit more, the more
Yeah.
freedom, a little more personality with the cap and the way rolled up sleeves. And
Mm.
like you said, they give him this loadout. He traded in his M60 for quad miniguns.
Yeah.
So this version is a great pick for Blaine just for that. Like you can tell that he's not super serious. He's just here to do the job, and anything
Yeah.
that gets in the way
Yeah.
is going down.
I actually covered this V2 rock and roll in my recent heavy hitters video.
Mm-hmm.
And I just couldn't believe like the firepower on this guy is just unreal. Like
Yeah, you. I
two
mean,
miniguns and then
we
a
had
Winchester strapped to his leg. Like
yeah, we had to. You had to have a certain degree of disbelief when you played with Joes.
yes, yeah.
You always did. I mean, ever since probably 83 at least, 84 for sure. You had to, there were kids stuff, but even as a kid, getting this when you saw this new rock and roll, I remember seeing it and I was like, holy shit. Like, how could he hold on to those guns?
Yeah.
I don't care. It's awesome.
Like you can't even stand this guy up without a stand.
My biggest gripe with this figure was getting those in his hands, getting the stock against the forearm, because they always wanted to pop out like what you see in the picture, and you had to do that with some of the Joes, otherwise you were going to snap their thumbs right off, especially those early ones.
That's right.
It had gotten better by this release, but still, they were hard to get him to hold like he was, like this. It was so it was a great loadout. It just in theory better than in execution. I would like to see them give him this setup if they do a true this version V2 in classified.
Yeah,
I'd like to see them do this same loadout, and I think most everybody would.
Yeah, this V2 figure pretty much writes its own classified script.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
Like you don't need to do any. Like just make the cap removable, give them the same weapons, and that's pretty much it. We're done.
Yep. Bring the weapons up make them a little easier to actually to wield them. Where they actually fit, and give us that Winchester too.
And that knife on the side, like that knife writes itself as well.
Yeah,
that's a typical classified thing to give him a knife with a sheath.
Yeah, most all of the Joes have a knife. Not all of them, but most of them have a knife and a sheath. Somewhere there's a few that don't, but yeah. So give him, and they've already got a couple of knives they could use for that. Large knives.
Yeah. Agent Chuckles, man, I don't think I've seen you in one of my casts before. This is obviously a good thing of, melding in on the American time scale. Thanks very much for joining in.
Yeah, good to see you.
Are you subbed to Chuckles' channel?
I am not.
He does some really good stuff like this, actually. A lot of sort of profiling and takes very in-depth looks at particular characters. It's quite a good channel, and they've got some really nice, nice voices. They're great to listen to. So,
okay, well, I'm subscribed to it now.
Oh, there you go.
I'll check that out. Anybody that's going to theme their channel after Chuckles, I'm going I'm gonna have to check it out.
I pretty regularly check out his stuff because it, like I'm a bit of an easy flow guy, and I just like to talk about stuff in general. Whereas those guys will hone right in, and they'll
Yeah.
do an episode on one character. So it's a good learning opportunity.
Oh yeah, if you can narrow the focus like that and make it work and do the content, and you know if and you gotta have enough to say about a certain character, because there's some of these characters that don't really have a lot of lore, so
no,
that's great.
All right, next up. Oh, and Campbell's just mentioning that guy.
Yeah, they kind of started going off the rails with some of those designs.
Yep. Okay, next we got Billy. And I definitely didn't want to just pick Spirit. I'm a pretty easy flowing guy, but I kind of felt like it just weirdly just racist just to pick Spirit. So
even though he is the best fit, but I didn't pick Spirit either, and kind of because of the same thing. But I mean, Billy's a tracker, and so's Spirit, and they're both Native American. So, but I see what you mean. You do a little something different.
So Billy's a bit of information on Billy. It's saying he's an expert tracker, something of an outsider in the group, and become notably disturbed following the team's contact with the Predator. He died challenging the Predator in hand-to-hand combat, armed only with his combat machete. Like, silly boy.
Went against everything that character, conveyed during the whole movie. He just, I guess in the movie, we're supposed to be resigned to the belief that Billy understands they're all dead, no matter what, and there's nothing anybody's gonna do, so he just tries to slow him down. It kind of seems like the last guy that would just, he seems like he would be the guy Dutch was at the end of the movie, helping set booty traps. But no, he just stands on a log and mutilates himself and just stands there and goes, so,
come on, Billy, pick your shit up.
Yeah, you can do better, Billy.
So it's saying that he's half Sioux Indian and half Italian descent, and he learned his exemplary tracking skills from his native people. He'd heard stories. This is the interesting thing, right? It's saying here when he was an infant, his people would tell stories of how a predator had once hunted their forefathers, although Billy was too young to remember those tales when he grew up. So that is prey.
Yeah. I think I missed that tidbit when I was going through this, and I've never heard it anywhere else, I don't think, since Prey's been out.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that were mentioned on that site that, must be backstory from maybe fan art or something like that. I don't know.
Just lore. Yeah, I mean, it's just like, look at all the Star Wars stuff, before we got like prequels and before Disney come along, all of the lore that had been written and backstories about all of the characters. So, it's just same thing. But there's been Predator comics and a lot of stuff that I haven't looked into. But it's just back lore to flesh out the characters a little more.
So Eric actually left this comment about half an hour ago, and I just wanted to make sure that we'd gotten to the character for it. So he's saying, if you've seen the modern 4-inch version of the Spirit, they use Sonny's head. Original actor who played Billy. The figure is amazing.
You talking about the Haya figure, the Chinese one? Yeah, it does. I didn't realize they actually modeled it after Sonny. Is it Langston?
He mentioned Sonny L.
Landham. It's Sonny Landham. Yeah. I didn't realize they actually sculpted it after him, but yeah, I can see it because I've seen the pictures of that figure. Those are incredibly hard to get here because
Oh, really?
yeah, that's the only way Hasbro's really letting them do them is if they don't sell them over here.
Hmm.
So they're imports. They're considered imports. You guys might be able to get a hold of them.
Yeah, possibly.
There. And they're not expensive. It's just getting them here. They're about $30 or so.
Right.
It's finding somewhere that actually sells them and getting them in. Like I don't even know anybody that has one of the Joe ones. They look amazing. Did you know that dude? They had to hire bodyguards during Predator to protect the cast and crew from him
because Sonny.
Yeah, he was pretty wild. Like he was prone to like just go into fits of anger and bust shit up. So he actually had people with him to keep him from going off on anybody.
Wow. There you go. Eric's saying, yeah, he's voting for Spirit. He passed recently. It wasn't higher. I'm sure it was the 50th or latest line rock. It was Hasbro. Okay. I'll check that up after the video.
Well, the higher one looks a lot like him too. Okay.
Yeah, I'd never heard that before.
Yeah, if you dig deep into like the production and stuff of it, like it was he was known. He had a reputation for like getting into brawls and just short temper. So
interesting. So the reason I picked Tracker, just based off the fact that this, like, Billy's big thing that he's known for is being an expert tracker. So to me, I wanted to get the best tracker in G.I. Joe, which is Tracker. And it's not just because of name. So if we go through his file card quickly, it says Tracker was one of the few G.I. Joe trainees to totally elude the instructors during the escape and evasion phase of the indoctrination course. This prompted the cadre to run through the exercise a second time to see how Tracker performed. And this time, the commander employed Spirit and Snake Eyes as the quarry. Tracker ran them into the ground in less than 12 hours, which is a pretty remarkable feat, considering that no one had ever been able to pick up their trail before. Sometimes the bad guys get smart and think they can throw us off the scent by cutting across a swamp or going up a stream. Whenever the trail seems to stop at a body of water, we just call Tracker to take it from that point. He just pumps up his covert insertion raft and paddles away until the track shows up on dry land again. It's almost as if he can see the footprints on the surface of the water.
His covert bright orange and flavor.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, if the dude can hide and catch, and Spirit and Snake Eyes is the quarry. So if he can out track and out stealth Spirit and Snake Eyes, you gotta give him some credit. But I tell you what, looking at the picture, like we talked about how we tried not to stereotype, and we didn't like, you picked the whitest white dude on G.I. Joe.
Yeah.
you whitewashed the hell out of this.
Yeah, trust me, if he didn't have that big detail on his file card, I probably wouldn't have picked him. So,
well, when you're looking through people that you would want, Joe members you want to cast as the Tracker, you got to look at the guy whose code name is Tracker.
Yeah. It's a good place to start.
Yeah, it's a good jumping off point.
If Tracker wants to run through the jungle, he should probably take off his Reebok pumps. Those feet of his are they're a really weird mold. It's like they have it's like a heel line. So like that's the ankle, and this line goes around there. I think it's a really weird mold.
I mean, from what I see of the shoes, because I did not have this figure. I was still collecting Joes at this time, but this was definitely at a point in the line when I was picking and choosing. It wasn't at a point in the line from a couple years ago when I was having the card backs and circling them off as I got them.
Yeah.
So I didn't have this figure, but it looks like he's wearing little inflatable rafts on the bottom of his feet.
It was a weird time of GI Joe, so anything's possible.
Yeah, they were. I mean, they were kind of throwing darts at the wall, and some of it stuck, some of it didn't. Yeah.
All right. Next, we have Rick Hawkins. So basically, team's youngest member, radio operator, and listed as perpetual comedian. And he was the first member of the team to be killed by the Predator. Personality and traits: he was a comic book fan and a diehard comedian, constantly cracking crude jokes. And we all remember that, like, that perler at the start of the movie when they're in the aircraft. And that's something I've carried through life as just, a gold standard for, shit jokes.
I went up to my girlfriend the other day.
It is great. Saying visually did not fit in with the other team members, set apart by his nerdy or even goofy appearance. However, he was a skilled combatant with lightning-fast reflexes, as demonstrated when he caught a stress ball thrown at him by Poncho without even looking. So for this guy, I picked Breaker. I thought the obvious thing was dial tone, but I didn't feel that dial tone actually fit this very well. Breaker seemed to have more of a military feel about him, whilst being a comms guy. So his file card, and he's from Tennessee, bro.
Yeah, I didn't realize that. I knew there's like 3 Joes that are from Tennessee, and I didn't realize Breaker was one of them until I was looking through file cards, because it's Gatlinburg, right?
Yeah, Gatlinburg.
Yeah, Gatlinburg. So I was like, and I love Breaker. Breaker and Doc are the 2 that I'm the saddest about that my beloved Saw Viper murdered. But
yes,
I was going through these 2, and I was like, oh shit, he's one of the guys that's from Tennessee. I think there's 3, I believe.
It says that he's familiar with all NATO and Warsaw Pact weapons, communications gear, as well as most world export devices. List all of his things he's good at, and it actually says he speaks 7 languages, which I've done some language work in the past and can tell you to know 2 languages can be difficult. So 7 is like some real Mensa type stuff.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's approaching like intelligence. Like I'd expect that from like Scarlet or Chuckles or something, but not from the dude with the radio that blows bubble gum all day.
Yeah.
So Breaker was always he was a good character though. I always liked Breaker. And if you look, I got his file card pulled up now, and you just read through it. Like it translates. Like I don't know what Project Gamma is, but like the Signal School, covert electronics.
Yeah.
Qualified expert on whatever today's modern, weapons type stuff would be. Like it still translates into today's times. He's going to be trained in covert modern electronics. I do think it's crazy though that since Breaker was an 82 character, I love looking back at these old file cards and seeing some of the, like they're all so short, and then as the line went, they just went
Yep.
because they fleshed them out. But the weapons, like qualified in the M16, of course, everybody in GI Joe was qualified on the Colt 1911. But the Mac 10, like, can you breaker?
That's odd.
Breaker with a Chuck Norris Invasion USA, Mac 10 45, his radio in one hand and a Mac 10 in the other. Yeah, because they issued those, like, the most people that actually carried those were like special ops, like insertion crews was mostly who carried that. So seeing Breaker qualified and expert and whatever with the Mac 10 is always, seeing that stuff's funny to me.
And that Project Gamma, I didn't even notice that. Like, that's some real odd shit to put on a file card.
Is it a real thing? I'm about to Google it.
I've never heard of it before.
Well, first thing that comes up is an intake for a BMW.
Anyone in the chat, have you heard of Project Gamma regarding G.I. Joe before?
Okay, it's a thing. Breaker apparently was a badass. Project Gamma was the name given in 1968 to Detachment B-57, Company E, Special Operations, 5th Special Forces Group, Airborne in Vietnam. There's a whole, like, pulled up a whole page, military history project.
Is this a real thing you're reading, or is it a G.I. Joe thing?
Yes. No, this is real world.
Wow.
It says Project Gamma, Delta Force's Black Sheep sibling. So it's special ops reconnaissance. So, was written by Larry Hama and, would have been written in 1981. So I didn't realize what that was, but I guess Breaker would be qualified on that Mac 10, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Really, that's why I've been really enjoying doing these list videos. Every video I do, I'm learning heaps of new stuff.
Yeah, and especially ones like this where you've got to go and you're trying to hunt down a personality and you're reading the file card and you're like, oh, okay, well, I forgot that, or I didn't know that, So that's interesting. Maybe I need to go back and do this on some of them too, because I looked right over Project Gamma.
I literally copied that information onto a Word doc and didn't even notice it said Project Gamma. So yeah, okay, that might actually be. I don't know if you've seen him. He's been in some of the Oz's Clubhouse things, but Sonny. Yeah, he's real good at the military, like the realistic military stuff.
Oh yeah, he corrected me one night on, I think it was on Clubhouse or on Punk.
Yep.
Because I misquoted a caliber for something, and
yeah,
he's like, "No, I think you mean this." I'm like, "I think you're right."
He's certainly very focused and knowledgeable on all that stuff.
He's very knowledgeable.
It might be worth. I might send him a message and say, "Bro, do some of your special work on Project Gamma and let me know."
Special recon on Project Gamma. That sounds like
a
good title for a stream.
Yeah. All right.
Project Gamma exposed
by Sonny.
Right.
Okay. Well, that's the team, and then that only leaves one individual, which is the Predator. And I thought of two for this. I immediately went to Shadow Tracker. The looks are there, the dreads. You look at his arsenal. He has a spear, a bow, and like 4 different types of knives. So he's got an arsenal. Oh, and the net. He's got the net as well.
I'm trying to find where I put my classified one. We just had him out.
But yeah, perfect predator. His file card from his, I think it was the Rock line, was he works for Cobra as a wilderness hunter and guide. Scorning conventional firearms, he uses traditional weapons from around the world. He tracks his prey using primal instinct. He hears the dark whispers of the jungle, senses distant footfalls in the earth, and tastes his victim's fear in the wind. It said when Skydive lands in the jungle, Shadow Tracker instantly knows and starts the hunt.
I mean,
Like this guy is the perfect predator for me.
Yeah, I mean, he really is. I mean, it sounds like half the file card was taken from watching the movie.
Yeah.
Aside from maybe the he hunts with nothing but primal fear. Our hunter, instinct. Our predator has got advanced helmets with optics, but other than that, I mean, that's pretty much spot on.
And I mentioned this to you in the pre-show. I did consider for a little bit Zartan, and I considered Zartan, just because he's a loose dude, but also he's got that invisibility or the cloaking type ability. And that to me was a pretty strong basis to be, predator. So you mentioned you sort of thought of him as well. Is that where you went down the line?
Yeah, of course I did think of Shadow Tracker. I was trying to stay I was trying to stay within 82 to 94 characters for it. And of course, Shadow Tracker is one of the first things that come to mind because of the look, because of the hunter. But on my picks for Predator, I actually did have Zartan because I think the 82 to 94 lore, Zartan, as far as being cast as a bad guy, and by the time it was over with, he was more neutral than bad. He's like the ultimate predator in G.I. Joe. Yeah. He can mimic anybody, he can disappear, he can turn this room into a cabin, proficient with bow and arrow weapons. He speaks a bunch of languages. Like, if you look at it from a different thing of just being able to turn invisible, like he could be anybody.
Yeah.
And what better way to prey on somebody than to sneak up on them in plain sight? So I actually did go with Zartan for my predator.
Okay, great. We missed it at the start. I know you mentioned that Al Dillon was, you'd pick Chuckles as well. Who did you pick for Dutch?
Okay, so I did go with Chuckles for the CIA aspect for Dillon. For Dutch, I actually, and it was mentioned, I think Eric Harper mentioned it and you highlighted it. I just didn't say anything. I picked Falcon. I had Lieutenant Falcon for Dutch because he was serious, but he wasn't real serious. Now, cartoon Falcon was a bit of an ass, but he matured up, but he was wisecracking. Dutch had all the one-liners. And if you're looking at G.I. Joe, the movie, the cartoon, by the end of it, he proved that he was a leader. He could lead a team. And, he could take on really tough, seemingly undefeatable foes. So I actually did pick Falcon for Dutch.
Okay. Yep. That's what Eric's saying.
Yeah, he was, and that was picking Dutch was probably the second hardest one on this list for me. I had the hardest time with Mac and Dutch. What, that I picked him? he's
There you
right
go.
there at the top. So let's see. Who did I not mention? Who I had picked for?
Wrath is a great pick for the Predator. Both figures of him being one of him being invisible. It's sorry, what character? I'm not familiar. I'm more of a vintage guy. So, who was a Wrath?
I think you meant Wraith. Was it Wraith? Wraith was in the IDW comic.
Okay.
He was basically a thief that stole a high tech suit. Like, have you seen the new updated Invisible Man movie?
No. Oh, I've seen previews.
Okay, well, it's basically a suit like is in that movie. He can basically turn invisible, camouflage, and he gets mixed up in Joe and Cobra stuff. Wraith would be a good pick for it. I just I said, I was trying to stay within the 82 to 94 and into the comic. Yeah. But Wraith would probably be as good of a pick or better than Shadow Tracker or Zartan.
That's the good thing about these videos, right? Is I'm more than happy to hear people's suggestions for this. You know, I think I said to 3-Star, like I spent about 6 hours thinking about this and doing content. So to, hear about characters I don't even know about, that's awesome. That's what I want to know. So
yeah, that's a really good suggestion. So so let's see. Billy, I didn't say who I'd pick for Billy.
And just one sec, Wiley J Draws, thanks for joining in. It was a what if G.I. Joe was hunting the Predator, but still based on the original team.
Well, I mean, it kind of is,
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
Roundabout way, that's kind of where we're at. So.
Okay, who is your Billy?
So for Billy, I actually, at first I was thinking Pathfinder. But after I went back and kind of read his file card and stuff, I wanted somebody again that was a little more stoic, a little bit of sense of humor, but a consummate outdoorsman. So I went with Outback.
Yep.
Because the Outback being a survival expert, training people in survival. He had to be able to track because he was out in the bush for weeks at a time, surviving on whatever he could find, whatever he could track and hunt. So I actually went with Outback for Billy.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough.
So I whitewashed him too.
I love how you said I didn't pick Spirit, but I picked the whitest dude in the world, and then you picked the whitest guy in the world with red hair,
with flaming red hair. Yeah, I was setting you up. He's a bright orange hair.
Yeah. Spirit version 4, Pursuit of Cobra. If you want to check out, it's got great accessories. Hire did a deluxe mini 2 3-star. Magnificent figure based on OG Spirit design.
Yeah,
I'll definitely be checking this out afterwards.
Yeah, those Haya, I say Haya because over here it's all scrunched together as one word. It's just HIYA. All of those figures look good, but they're just about impossible to get here. They're imports here. That Spirit, when you look that Spirit up, man, it's amazing. Let's see, Hawkins. So we talked about Hawkins Communication. He was the one that I originally had Airtight for because he was kind of a jokester.
Yeah.
But Airtight really didn't have jack shit to do with communications. I mean, so I went with Breaker as well for Hawkins because he liked to cut up and, him and Clutch kind of joked around and stuff. So I actually went with him. And I think all the rest of them, I mentioned Blaine and Poncho and Mac. So yeah, I got through all of mine.
Yep. All right. Well, that was a fun activity. I'm just loving learning stuff about the older line that I just didn't know or hadn't read before. So it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah,
What are
this
you
is
doing?
great.
What are you doing with your channel in the near future? What's coming out of your channel?
I've got some reviews I've got to get done this weekend. I've got three things I've got to open and review and get videos done and up for. I got the Marauders Sergeant Slaughter, and I got actually bought this Marvel Deadpool.
Oh, yeah, nice.
So only Deadpool figure in my collection because I'm not a huge Deadpool fan, but I like the movies. And I got my Stinger today, so I got to get a video.
Oh, yeah, good one.
On that. And then once I ever get those done, sometime next week, I'll be doing our backyard battlefield that I do with Aaron the Toy Enhancer and Krusty Old Crow. Mm-hmm. Don't know where we're doing it just yet. I don't know which channel it'll be on, but it'll be on one of the three. We don't usually decide till like Sunday or Monday, so that's it. I'll be in the chats and listening to stuff.
Okay.
What do you got coming up?
I'm just having a fat time doing these list videos right now. It's just nice to sit back and put some music on. Lovely enough, like when I do this, I always make sure that either yourself or Shane at Same Time Toys or Lawrence, like I'll make sure I've caught up with all your videos, and if I haven't, then that's what I listen to while I do these lists. Always make sure that you guys are covered off on video views. But yeah, if I've covered all those, then I just chuck some music on and do the list videos, and I'm getting some really nice comments and support from everyone out there. So it's been good.
Yeah, I've enjoyed the different stuff that you've done lately.
Thanks.
I love the micro figures video that you did, because I mentioned it the other night when me and Pop Blender were on. Like I remember the figures, but I don't remember the promotion. So seeing the literature and hearing you go over it and talk about the program, I thought that was awesome because I don't remember any of that stuff.
Yeah.
I wish I still had some of those micro figures. I didn't have all of them, but I had, I probably had 6 or 7. I know I had Snake Eyes at one point.
That's where I'm sort of at with my collecting right now. Like I think I'm only actually missing, one. Like I just want to get a good Scarlet, and I think that's all I really need right now for my vintage collection. So just actually going back and doing research and learning about that original line is just keeping me really happy and content and learning stuff. It's really good.
Well, there's always stuff that there was so much of that stuff and so much of it in different countries and different levels of stuff. Like there's so much to uncover if you go back and go digging like you did with the literature and things like that. You find so much, because even like the Action Force stuff.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I knew that they had Joes over there. I just didn't know, I didn't know anything about them because there was no internet. It's not like they were sold here.
Yeah.
So there's always cool stuff to learn and do a video on something to help educate people and get up.
That's been sort of my way of doing things recently is if I can learn, well, there's probably a couple of people like me out there that also don't know about that, so we can all learn together.
Yeah, I love it, man. Keep them coming. Pop Blender and I are actually going to start. We're going to start doing some list type stuff when we do
that'd be great.
bi-weekly thing. Ours will probably be more, they'll probably be more classified related, but
Yeah.
we like to do a little bit crazier, like what we did the other night. What classified figures would we boot out of the line? Stuff like this that just keep it, funny. So yeah, they're good. They're a good time.
If you're watching now and you're not subscribed to 3-Star, so look up 3-Star Drawl. Don't pay any attention to Down South 77. But yeah, if you're not currently subbed to him, go and check out his channel. His recent video, as you just said, was he was with his his cousin, which is Pop Blender. And there's, it's just really nice video to watch. Just two great guys just talking shit effectively, like, us Australians like doing. So, yeah.
Yeah. And we've been playing Joes together just about as long as there's been Joes. So
that's really great. It's great to see. So there you go. Australian Eric Harper has subbed to your account.
You should, well, I say you should. I think it'd be funny if you put beside your name in brackets the AUS. That'd be hilarious.
On one of podcasts from the pit, recent videos where they had Joe Recondo and Ronnie Trickshot on there was an actual discussion of getting Australian Eric Harper and podcast from the pit Eric Harper on the show together, and just hilarity ensues.
That'd be funny.
Agent Chuckles, thanks so much for joining in, mate. It's always a pleasure. Like, I love your content, and it's a real honor for you to come in and watch my stuff. Ronnie's tipping off to you there, mate.
Thank you. Good to see you too,
Aaron. Campbell didn't know. That's cool, man. That's
we I wouldn't say we don't advertise it, but we do. We bring it up. We bring it up a bit. Yeah. So yeah, we're he's a couple years older than me. So but yeah, we're first cousins.
Old chocolate voice. He's got a voice. It's just getting wasted. Seriously. He does, man. He's got a good voice. He's much more comfortable doing stuff like this than I am. He's a people person. I'm really not. He's been, since he's been 18, actually since he's been 17, he has been entertaining in one way or another. He played in a band for several years, and then his main gig is he's a bartender. He's been a bartender for years. He's mastered that. So he talks to people all the time. He loves to talk to people. Whereas for me, like, it's not as natural, and he has a much better voice and repertoire than I do for it, So yeah, I hate when I do a video and I have to go back and edit it. I literally hate listening to myself.
I understand. If I had $1 for every time I said or stutter when I say something, I'd be a rich man. I'd have a flag over here somewhere.
Well, that's the nice thing about all these beautiful people tuning in, mate. It's, we think we sound like poop, but obviously we're getting through.
Yeah. It was one of the things that Lawrence told me when I was first starting my channel. He's like, I don't like the way I sound. He said, but you got to think, you get on here and talk, that is what everybody else hears every day when you talk to them.
Yeah, that's it.
Like, I don't know if that helped or not.
I think that was Lawrence's nice way of saying, get over it, bro.
Yeah, it was. It was. He's got some subtlety to him.
Also go and check out Campbell's videos at Kiwi Customs. He really does some great work. Check out Ronnie Trickshot's channel. And we just need to wait until Eric Harper starts an Australian channel. Thanks very much for joining in today, everyone. If you enjoyed the show, if you're replaying the show, if you enjoyed it, just let me know in the comments. I'm just trying to do a bit of a Saturday thing because it's a bit more relaxing for me and my family. But yeah, let us know and make sure you sub to 3 Stars channel. Thanks so much and have a great weekend, everyone. Bye-bye.
Hey, thanks.